As this is sort of a retro meeting, we have a sage and soothsayer from the past to lay some profound thoughts on us. So,
Wow.
Tom,
What an
come up, please.
introduction.
Whoa,
Wow.
what a special treat.
Soothsayer and everything.
It was a one-time deal.
Let
me see where I'm at here. Let's see, my first thought is from Saint Augustine. Pray as though everything depended on God, work as though everything depended on you. Second one's from Anne Frank. I don't think of all the misery, but of the beauty that still remains. And Paul Poundstone.
Sorry. Ads.
I don't have a bank account because I don't know my mother's maiden name.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. Yep. All right, happy finds and drawings. Jerry?
Happy finds this morning. I got a couple of happy finds, okay. I turned 75 yesterday.
Whoa.
And next Thursday, Lynn and I leave for 2 weeks in Italy.
Wow.
Weren't you just in Italy?
Did you call ahead and
Just
warn?
just in Venice for 2
Did you
nights.
call ahead and warn?
Pardon?
Did you call ahead and warn?
No. Also had a birthday over the weekend. I was throwing. buckets.
Yes.
Anybody else scary?
I'm gonna beat you. In 2 weeks, I turned 77.
Oh.
I make it.
Put $1 in, glad my wife joined me.
Rick puts $1 in every week he's here. Did you know that?
Sure he does.
Anybody else here this morning? All right, we'll have one of our guests, how about Dr. Green? Go to the winning number.
Oh, my glasses.
You don't have to put your money.
That's it.
Let's read the last three numbers, please.
792.
Okay. Not even close.
That would be me again.
Oh.
Yes, member.
He's on a roll.
We gotta get something.
Have some more money.
Yeah, I get it all.
Yeah, you get it all. Take the other pile too.
All right, we have actually two sets of guest speakers today, so we'll get through some business and announcements real quick. I'd like to run through these events happening in the next few weeks. As we're a bit strapped for time today, so you can refer to the unabridged version of what's going on in Rotary Art Club in this week's email from Jim. First of all, I'd like to talk about the volunteers that are needed for the Phantom Junction stage concert for September 28th. They'll have two bands playing, a band called Sam Grady and a Steely Dan tribute band called Black Cow. So sign up sheet is in the email, so we're looking for some people.
Yeah, we need a few. We
Yeah.
don't need like 12, but we need
Yeah.
a few.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna be in Salt Lake that week. I'm the trailer guy usually, so we need somebody with a trailer or a pickup truck to get the bars and stuff. Oh, Peter?
Peter's
Okay,
good.
thank you, Peter. Saturday, September 14th, there's gonna be a meet and greet with Vin Baker at his recovery center in Milwaukee. For those of you that aren't NBA followers, Vin Baker played for the Bucks back in the nineties, mid-90s. And since about 2018 or so, he's been an assistant coach with the Bucks. Our club has written a district grant to have Vin speak at two upcoming events here in Mukwonago later on this year. And so this is a meet and greet. Ken Kurt, who's kind of ramrodding this, he says that there might be some other Bucks there as well to open up the center. So if you're interested, again, refer to the email. There's been talk about maybe carpooling if there's enough people who want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I can put a sign up list together real quick and then just see if 3 or 4 of us are going. We can meet here and drive out and carpool, so we don't all have to drive out to Milwaukee. But
Okay,
I'll plan on putting a sign up Genius just to see some organization to it.
okay, very good, thank you. Next week, we have a local author, Sean Verdoni, sponsored by Pro Health. Rachel, is that right? Okay. And now I'd just like to introduce our guest speaker. At the invitation of Father Jordan Burkhouse, Grover and his wife, Therese, did I pronounce that right? Moved from Texas to Wisconsin a year ago to get closer to Teresa's family. She apparently grew up in Chippewa Falls. And to realize a dream to open a school from scratch. They have 5 children, Max, Eva, Anna, okay, Seth and Maggie, and a puppy named Rusher.
Right.
Wow, that is a
They-
Regrettable addition. Summer.
What kind of dog?
He's a 100% purebred, British Labrador Retriever. So he's got the red fox British Labrador Retriever.
Oh, very good.
Very energetic.
I mean,
They- He recited Eagle. Grover's been in Catholic education for 18 years as a teacher and administrator. He earned his doctorate of education from St. Louis University in 2021. He says that he and his family are thrilled to be part of this great community. So would you please give a warm Rotary welcome to Dr. Grover Green?
Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure and honor to be invited by you guys to talk to you this morning. I know Sean's not here, but when you see him next, please send my deep gratitude to him to be able to talk to you guys this morning. A little bit about this great project that God, probably 2 years in the making now, I would say, put on my heart about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when I met Father Jordan for the first time. My wife and I had contemplated making a move in 2020 back to Wisconsin to get closer, but you all know what happened in 2020. So that was not the best time. But Father Jordan and I, who's the pastor of St. James, have been in conversation to reopen St. James School, which had closed, unfortunately, back in 2010. We realized this dream this past year, and we opened our doors last Monday with 86 students, which is just an incredible blessing. So what I want to do this morning is just talk a little bit about St. James, the vision of Catholic education, the vision of what we call classical liberal arts education. I'm a little loquacious, so I'm going to have Mark make sure he cuts me off maybe 3 minutes, or give me a 3-minute warning towards the end here so that I can take questions as well. So we'll go and start here.
Are you doing the slideshow show first and then the video?
Yeah, we'll do the slideshow first, and then
All
we'll
right.
get to the video. Thank you.
I wasn't in on the production meeting.
No worries. Thank you very much.
Here you go. This should work.
Thank you. Perfect. My family there. So I'm a Texan by birth. I got the boots to prove it. My wife is Wisconsinite. Every Texan grows up thinking you're never going to marry anyone outside your state, right? But Wisconsin is pretty close to Texas. We like guns. We like beer. We like the outdoors. There's a lot of commonalities. There's good barbecue here. Here's my 5 children. What's the kind of the most rewarding part of this whole project for me is that it's an entire family affair. So my wife teaches in St. James, and all 5 of my children attend St. James. So we're all getting up at 5:30 together and getting out the door, and it's just been kind of a unexpected blessing to be all together all day long. I told my wife that she can be the boss of me at home, and I'll be the boss of her work, and it works out that way. So
Good luck with that.
yeah, right, exactly. We married for 12 years. We have our 5 children there. So let me talk a little bit about
Go ahead.
St. James. Our crest. Everyone was wondering, like, why St. James the less? It's kind of a strange thing. Father Jordan really wanted to lean into our patrons. So you have 2 St. James. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Chosen, but you have James the Greater, or James the Less, or Little James and Big James. We really wanted to lean into our patron, St. James the Less. These are some of his traditional symbols. So he was the first bishop of Jerusalem. He wrote the epistle, a beautiful short little epistle in the New Testament, towards the end there, where he talks about being doers of the word and not just speakers of the word. He was martyred in front of this building, the Temple of Jerusalem, and he was the first apostle to suffer martyrdom for the gospel. So it's a little sneak peek of who St. James is and his patronage for our school. And then, but I also want to mention a couple other symbols that we included when we were making and designing our crest and our vision for the school. So the crown on top of our crest comes from James 1:12, where St. James tells his readers that those who persevere in the faith, even through trial and challenge, the ups and downs of life, will receive a crown of victory. And the crown of victory is also harkens back to the Greek and Roman world, the Olympics, when a Olympian won a great victory in the track and field or some competition, they would receive a crown. And the crown actually is the laurel leaves here. So we have kind of a combination of those Catholic Christian symbols as well as classical symbols. And then our motto. Our motto comes from also the book of James, Perseverantia Perfecti, which roughly translates to perfection through perseverance. This is not perfectionism. This is perfection. Another word we use commonly from the Latin would be maturity. So persevering toward maturity. And that starts in earnest as young children, right? And progresses into adulthood. And in fact, in many ways, we are continuing to mature until we're called from this earth. So that's a rough overview. And this was an absolute delight and very fun project to be able to put that together. So my premise this morning about education and about what we're doing at St. James is that every education assumes an anthropology. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that every educational project, every school has a particular vision of the human person, what the human person is for, and what they're made for, who they are, what drives human beings. At St. James, we make the assumption that young girls and young boys growing up are meant for not only this world, but also eternal life. And so that gives us a certain pitch and understanding to what we want to do at St. James. This is a great quote I feel like I return to a lot when I'm talking about St. James, about the very transcendent or lofty goal we have for our students there. The specific purpose of the Catholic education is the formation of boys and girls who will be good citizens of this world, loving God and neighbor, enriching society with the love of the gospel, and who will also be citizens of the world to come, fulfilling their destiny to become saints. I can't think of a loftier goal for education than helping your students to become saints, right? Become holy, to reflect Christ in their life, and all their interactions with loving God and loving their neighbor. That's the ultimate goal. All the education and everything we're doing at St. James goes towards this goal, ultimately. So when we're teaching math, when we're teaching history, when we're doing, ELA, whatever we're doing, we always have front and center this very monumental goal for our students. We don't believe that we can accomplish this at St. James or all at one time or just through one teacher or one experience, but we think that we can be a part of the process. That's a lifelong process towards this goal. Another quote that I like to return to as well, and often cite, is this one, which has always stuck with me for a long time when I first became a teacher about 18 years ago. Education is not given for the purpose of gaining power, but as an aid toward a fuller understanding of and communion with man, events, and things. This is the next part that I really like. Knowledge is not to be considered as a means of material prosperity only and success, but as a call to serve others and be responsible for them. The ends of education, there's a lot of them, and you can kind of rank them. Certainly, we want our students to go on and be successful in terms of getting into college or going to high school, getting into college, choosing a career that fulfills them and allows them to provide for their families. Those are all good things. But at St. James and the church teaches that those are proximate goals. Those are good goals, but they're not the ultimate goals. The deeper goals of an education, which can serve those purposes but do deeper things, is to allow and empower our students to be responsible for others, their communities, their churches, their families, and ultimately be responsible for themselves to God. That's the ultimate goal of what we're doing at St. James and largely. So all that is said, we probably took 75 different versions of this. We're making a mission statement. But we finally settled on all the elements we felt like expressed our unique vision and mission at St. James. And that is St. James Less Academy forms students in collaboration with their parents by the model of Jesus Christ through a rigorous classical liberal arts education, which I'm going to speak about here in a moment, that cultivates the theological, intellectual, and moral virtues so they may persevere, that's our motto, and meet their God-given potential to become mature, complete persons in service to their church, their country, and society. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Right? There's a lot going on there. Yeah, so it's an incredible goal. We as St. James cannot accomplish this goal on our own. We do believe that St. James is an act of God's grace, and this is an impossible goal on our own. The community also has been just incredibly generous and supportive of what we're doing. We have raised close to $4 million in 10 months to open the school. We needed to raise money to open the school. Our goal was actually 1.5 was the minimum. 3.5 was our goal, stretch goal, and we actually raised 4 million, which has been, I mean, mind-boggling. All right. I only attribute that to the generosity and the faithfulness of the community. And by the way, some of those donations didn't just come from St. James, but came from larger visionaries that are big rooted members of this community. That the last 10 months of planning and raising money and doing all the different things we needed to do to get the school in place to open last Monday was made possible through those community relationships, which we want to continue to build. That's on time. Skip this and go right to what I want to talk about here. So at the invitation of Father Jordan and also Archbishop Listecki, St. James was given a lot of levity to do different things in terms of our curriculum and our approaches that maybe other Catholic schools up to this point had not done. And I could spend all day talking about our early childhood program. Our early childhood program is Montessori based. It's an authentic Montessori program. That's a whole presentation in of itself. But what I really want to focus on is what we set out to do, which was to return to an earlier model of education, what we call the classical liberal arts or the Catholic classical liberal arts. Why classical? Classical has to do with origin. The origin of classical liberal arts means the classical world. So Greeks and Romans, right? The educational tradition of Plato and Socrates and Aristotle, as well as some of the great Roman thinkers as well, that then carried forward once Jesus came along and Christianized the Roman world, was then handed on to the medieval world, continued to be developed, and out of that system came the first universities, starting in around 1050, and then that was handed on to the Renaissance thinkers, which then ultimately got handed on to people you might recognize like Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, George Washington, and our founding fathers, who were all educated in this classical way. All right, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the details of that in a moment. But classical means what has to do with our origins of the educational system we're talking about. Liberal does not have a political context like today. I'm not talking about Democrats or conservatives, Republican Democrats, that sort of thing. Liberal is an older term, which comes, as you can tell from the word itself, which means freedom. So the goal of a liberal education is to give students power over their own intellectual and moral faculties. So to basically make them independent learners is one way of thinking about it, but it's deeper than that. It's helping them become masters of themselves. And as I said, it's a long, persevering process. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through the influence of many great teachers over a long period of time. It also happens through engaging with our history and our culture of Western civilization, as well as engaging with the thought of the great thinkers throughout time. So that's it in a nutshell. So much more can be said. It's almost kind of an impossible task to sum up classical liberal arts, but that was my best stab at it. One way of thinking about it is looking at the liberal arts in this way. There's a traditional 3-layer approach to the liberal arts. And when we say liberal arts, we're also talking about the great books. So all the classical works of literature is kind of, in a sense, driving the curriculum. Another thing that's interesting about the liberal arts is at St. James, we don't particularly teach necessarily social studies as we teach history. So for instance, our first and second graders will be learning ancient history. Our third and fourth graders will be learning history in the Middle Ages. And our fifth and sixth graders will be learning about the modern era as well as American history. Then that cycle starts over in middle school, and then they get another cycle of it in history. If you continue to follow the model. So one of the big goals of classical liberal arts is to really give our students a strong grounding in historical consciousness, where they came from, who their ancestors were, where the great thoughts of like, democracy and Republican government of the Republic, like our government came from. We want to deeply engage our students, even at a very early age, in the civilizations of the past to really give them a world and global sense of themselves and how the world works. So there's really 3 stages. Some see these stages as developmentally appropriate, like some start in early elementary, then they move to middle, then they move to high school. You can think of that way. There are certainly some of these elements that are more emphasized at certain ages over others, but they're all at work really dynamically together. So we call the first stage the grammar stage, which is kind of like what it sounds like. This is where students learn a lot of information and not necessarily completely in depth, but are introduced to a lot of information. So we also call this the absorbent stage. So they're learning lots of facts, lots of data. They're getting language acquisition. They're learning a lot of basic skills, the most important being reading and writing. We really want to work to have our students master those by basically the 4th or 5th grade, so that the world of literature can be open to them in a very dynamic way. But you're always learning facts and you're always learning new information, so that's always present as well. The next stage, which roughly starts around 5th or 6th grade, is the logic stage. So here they're asking just, what things are, and they're so fascinated by the world, they're just absorbing all the information around them. This stage, the logic stage, has to do with the what and the why. This is where students begin to ask questions of like stuff they may have taken, they assumed before as to be true. Now they begin to ask them critical questions of like why, especially the why question. And we teach at this point the logical ways of thinking. So we begin to challenge the students. One thing we really introduce, one pedagogical technique we introduce at this stage is the Socratic seminar, where students will read a text, they'll sit in a circle. The teacher's role is really there just to facilitate and not so much interfere in the conversation, just kind of trying to keep it within parameters so it doesn't go off the rails. And have the students question each other and really dig deep into the text and to overturn their assumptions they might have about whatever it is they're talking about. And then the final stage, which might be said to start in high school, but really could start also around 7th or 8th grade, is to begin to take all the ideas they're learning and the logical way of thinking and to begin to apply it in new ways and creative ways, particularly through giving speeches. So eloquence and giving speeches is a very, very important central goal of classical liberal arts education. So that's where the word rhetoric comes from. Especially in a democracy like ours and a republic, the classical liberal arts came out of Athens and Rome, both democratic, at least for a while in Rome, democratic governments. And public speaking was a absolutely central skill you needed to have to be a successful person in that society and to help that government to work properly. Likewise, in our own government, right? So there's a lot of information all at once about how all this works, but that is the gist of the classical liberal arts and how many people would describe it. There's many more things you could say. One principle that's very important to classical liberal arts is what we call multum non multa, which is Latin for much, not many. So we try not to cover a lot of material just to cover it, but we try to go very slowly and get deeper. So instead of, a mile wide and inch deep, we try to go deeper into different works of literature or material that we're working on. So our Singapore math program is a good example of this. We will typically spend, we won't just do procedural math and just teach students, how to do the problem, but instead we really want them to think deeply about why the problem works the way it does, why the equation works out the way it does. And they're typically expected to take a problem and tackle it from multiple standpoints, right? So they have to show 2 or 3 or 4 different ways in which that problem can be solved. That's just an example of again, that deep thinking and the logical thinking that we want them to be able to do. These are also some words that we use a lot in classical education. Truth, goodness, and beauty, wisdom and virtue, and wonder. We really want our students to wonder about the world and to be lifelong learners. So curiosity is highly, highly encouraged. We don't want to cultivate our students a utilitarian view of education that I'm just trying to get through so I can get the grades, so I can go to high school, so I can go to college, so I can get that job, so I can make money, right? We want to, again, all those things are good things, obviously, but we really want them to be thinking deeper about their education and their formation. That's also why in the classical liberal arts and in the Catholic tradition, education is not just intellectually forming, but also morally forming. It helps to form the conscience and helps students to identify what is good and what is not good, and to be given the virtues by which they can pursue the good and resist the bad. So moral formation is absolutely essential, and that goes all the way back to Plato. Plato said that all education is moral formation. Whether we like it or not, we're always sending our students messages about what they're learning. And that learning should be building them up and helping them become even more human and becoming mature in that way. So those are some of the key words we use oftentimes a lot in classical education. 3 minutes, okay, good. There's another way of looking at it. Some might see, so we see the goals of education, which again are not bad, but they're just maybe here, and we're thinking more here, right? So we still have to get here, right? But marketable knowledge and skills equaling a profitable job, kind of seeing education maybe as a consumerist type mentality or goal in mind. What we're hoping to do, and what the tradition of the educational model that I'm talking about hopes to do, is really something can't be really seen, but really something that goes on within the student themselves. This mulling over, this contemplation, this engaging with wonder within themselves. So this is a paraphrase of a quote from a 19th century educational philosopher who I really highly recommend and admire. Her name is Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason was kind of a trailblazing educator in the late 19th century. She said, we should be thinking of education in these terms, not what you can do with the education you receive, but what the education actually does to you. So instead of saying, here's my education, I'm going to go now do stuff with it. I'm going to be an engineer, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. But instead, what has that education done to me internally? How has it converted me? How has it transformed me? How has it made me into the person I am today? How has it affected my thinking? Those are all the things that we're thinking deeply about at St. James. Because ultimately, as I said earlier, we want that thinking to lead them to the divine logos, right? The ultimate truth, which is Jesus Christ himself. That's our goal. All Catholic schools serve piously and obediently the mission of the church, which is to evangelize. But we do that through the exciting venture of education with all of our students. So I think probably up against it here. I know there's a lot of information. Thank you for your attention. And I'll be happy to take questions. Yes, ma'am.
Makes me want to come back and vote in your.
No, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great presentation.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Is this K through 6?
K through 6, actually, I think you the structure. We're actually 2K. We got 2-year-olds. 2K through 6. The goal is to go 7th and 8th. And then if you ask Father Jordan, which I'm sure he wouldn't mind sharing with you, he would love to go pre-K through 12. Ultimately. So we're sitting on, you probably been out St. James, we're sitting on 100 acres of land. There's definitely our trustees definitely have plans for that land and in terms of trying to develop it. So, yes, yeah.
Where is the academy located?
It is just on the street here,
Okay.
right around the corner. Yeah, right across from the senior center there in the Legions. Yeah.
When you're talking about having young children in a circle trying to facilitate different things.
Yeah.
It's got to be a challenge to try to pull things out from them, to take
It is.
positions and to be respectful of,
Mhm.
others' opinions and that.
Exactly right.
Do you see that that's harder today than it was years ago? Or
I do.
as a teacher?
I do 100%. That's a great question. So we really start this early. Actually, I know this sounds kind of hard to believe, but we start this in kindergarten. We will take very simple texts, very, you know, like nursery rhymes and fairy tales that we're all familiar with. For instance, we just the other day did The Boy Who Cried Wolf, which has a clear moral lesson to it. Students love that story, right? But we just read the story, and the teacher is just there to ask questions. He doesn't try to reveal the moral of the story, tries to elicit the response from the child. And children have a natural instinct of justice very early. But back on your question of respectfulness, with our older students, we work on the first few weeks before we even get into a discussion. They have to do what we call civil discourse. So that's that they learn the rules of civil discourse. So when you disagree with someone, you don't say you're an idiot. That's a stupid idea, right? That gets you kicked out of that discussion, or you are silenced in that discussion. Instead, you say things like, "Oh, I see what you're saying." You know, we also encourage them to use last names as a kind of respectful thing. So, Mr. Johnson, I see what you're saying. You're saying this, but I respectfully disagree. I see it actually this way. Or if they agree with someone, I would like to build upon that. I agree with what so-and-so is saying. I'd like to build upon it. So we try to get them to have this language, which I think, given social media, given our current political environment, is very important because civil discourse is one of those things that is, in my opinion, certainly gone out the window in many elements of our society. So, but yeah, we do try to start that early in that respectful talk that you can disagree with someone and you can disagree with them deeply, but you need to remain respectful. Otherwise,
One more question.
Yes.
I wondered how many instructors you have and how you're combining grades.
Yes. So right now we have first, second, third, fourth, and fifth and sixth combined. We could potentially, we have 15 first and second graders, so we could potentially divide them now. We're actually continuing to get enrollments even as we speak. There's some talk about dividing that class out at December and hiring another teacher. The goal though is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on and so forth as self-contained classes. But we have a staff of 14. That's including myself. As I said, we have 2-year-old toddlers through 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds, and then we have our first through 6. I just want to mention the other beautiful thing that we're allowed to do, and we've been so grateful to the Archdiocese to allow us to do all these kind of new things, is our early childhood program is Montessori based. Maria Montessori is a wonderful person. You don't know a lot about her. She was an Italian doctor, the first woman in Italy to receive her MD. She actually, interesting story, in order to complete her work and her training, she was not allowed to be with the men during the day with the cadavers. So she had to work at 3 o'clock at night in the morning to work with the cadavers in order to get her degree. So she's an incredible woman, but she trailblazed especially like child psychology and development of children through her method. And so we kind of have 2 unique approaches that really complement each other. What I love about Montessori education, it really does leverage the child's inherent desire to want to learn. And that perfectly fits with what we're trying to do in the rest of the school. So
Great. Perfect.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
So
Let's skip the video.
for those people that did their homework and read all this, everybody take out a writing utensil and a piece of paper. And
Oh geez, now we're really going,
Exactly right.
we're really going retro
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
so Grover, in gratitude for sharing your message with us, our club will donate funds to Rotary International for 25 children in the world to be inoculated against polio in your honor. So
Awesome.
thank you so much.
Mark. Thank you so much, guys. It's really a pleasure. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Without further ado, we have Jennifer and Diego here to give us an update on our donation, latest donation to Guatemala Service Projects and some other information. So it's all yours.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor for me to be with you today. It's not a joke, but part of my trip, I came because of you. So most of the time, we just come here, we ask for donation, we leave, especially me, I leave, and then somebody might say, okay, I give donation and what happened? But I'm here just to thank you for the donation that you have been giving to our Mala Service Project. I know you have been helping us, supporting us with many, many projects, but one of them that I want to talk about it is the kitchen that we're building in the school, in the community that called Canton and Shabiawach. This school, they were having a kitchen, but they were missing many things. The stove were not working anymore. And the government in Guatemala provides them a snack to each school. But when they came to us and say, we have the kitchen, but nothing is working here. And the government is sending us items to cook and give the snack to the kids. So we fixed the kitchen. We built two nice stove with good quality of materials, and that's what we always like to do as an organization. We're just not pretending to do something. We also give something with high quality. The principal, the teacher are very happy with that. The women, there are two women that are cooking there right now. They say, Diego, can you give me one stove for my family? Like, no, not right now. This is especially for the school. So many people, when they see the quality of the job we do there, work we do there, they are so happy. So on behalf of them, I'm here to tell, thank you for doing that. The benefit that that they are getting is that the smoke is not going in their eye, especially the two women, because the stuff that they were having before, they were cooking in the smoke like, oh, you are Diego, things like that. So now the smoke goes in like in the right way, and the little kids are getting good snack, healthy snack. And the other thing that I have seen is that because we fixed the floor, we built like a nice table, just like a United States model, not like a Guatemala, like a table is like this and it's not working anymore. So thank you so much, and I hope you will continue to support us. And as I say, I'm here just to thank you. And we have been doing many things, and 10 minutes is not enough for me to talk about all of them. But in behalf of the community and the country of Guatemala, so thank you for supporting us. And I hope you will keep supporting us, because that's the only way how we can provide hope around the world, and how we can give the seed to those kids, and how they can be a great human being in the world in the future. So that's what I have for you today, guys, and thank you so much.
Diego, I don't think you mentioned about the add-on topics that.
So yes, you know, when people see our work, they get in love with us and they say, I want this too. So the school right now, it has a needs. They requested us a refrigerator. So because the government provide them like food, but they don't have like an item where they can save the milk and things like that. So hopefully you can get support from you with a refrigerator.
Well, with a
Yes.
refrigerator.
If you would like,
Refrigerator, that's
if,
your word.
if,
Okay.
yes, the school kitchen has identified the need to have a refrigerator. That wasn't part of the original project, but one way or another, we will work to provide them a refrigerator. So
What
that,
kind of money are we looking at for the refrigerator?
I think it was about $700 or $800.
No, it's a little bit more because of the big size. It's
A larger size.
1,300.
Oh,
$1,300.
sorry, thank you. And the thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit, just to give you an idea of what our organization is doing, I distributed a handout this time. I was not relying on technology. But basically the things at the top of that sheet are the items that we plan to work on for the remainder of the year. There are some, and I mean, we're always doing little maintenance projects as the year goes along, like water filters or stoves or vitamins or scholarships, those types of things. But I listed some of the larger items on the list. We're building a rural health clinic. We're supporting a school by in addition, specifically for preschool. They need a space dedicated for the preschool students. And a variety of projects like that, but there's one that I highlighted in red just because I know that Rotary clubs are often very interested in water projects. We had the fortune of working in a community called Canton Rio Camanibal. And they're actually, the school in that community was the first project ever for the nonprofit. So we've been in that community for a long time. They recently made us aware that their water needs are a little different. They're part of a community that broke off. There was a community called Camanibal, and now there's Rio Camanibal. They kind of broke off, and Rio Camanibal needs their own water system because of the the size of the community. And so their water project involves building 2 water tanks and then distribution to individual homes. And the reason that this community needs 2 water tanks is partly elevation and the dispersal of people in the community. And so in order for a water project there to work, it would require 1 water tank as kind of a holding spot. And then that water storage area would be enough, provide enough pressure to take water to the other tank. And then that way it would be able to serve all of the people. The nice thing about this particular project is that the community of Rio Camanibal are very energized and motivated and productive people. And individual families in that community had the ability to pool their resources, and each family contributed a little bit to the ultimate goal, but they didn't quite foresee the ability to fund all of it. So normally Guatemala Service Projects has the idea to do like a 95% to 5%, where the community contributes a little amount. For example, when this club supported water filters, we had each family contribute $3 out of the $110, and that way they're contributing a little bit, feeling like they're taking part, that they're part of the solution, that they take advantage and are invested in what it is that they are receiving. But we cover the rest. In this case, it's almost 70-30, where the community has been able to raise the funds and has the plan and the vision and the ability to fund about 70% of their water project. And we're just going to do the rest. And that part that we are responsible for is building 1 of the 2 tanks. We agreed to contribute the funds for the 1 tank at about a little over $15,000. And then the community is building the other tank. They're supplying all of the lumber for the wood forms to construct the concrete tank. And then they're supplying all of the skilled and unskilled labor. So our portion is only 15,000, and if you are interested in supporting us in that way, then that would be kind of like a quick fix, because water projects can tend to get very expensive. And this is really accomplishing something on a grand scale like that, but with a much smaller investment from the organization.
Would you be open that if I pitch this to either the Marquette or the UWM Engineers Without Borders, because we're finishing up 2 water projects right now in Guatemala and other areas. There's a window of time that we might be able to enlist them for their logistical help. And also then solicit money on some other Rotary clubs that have been fantastic partners in the past besides ourselves. But they would take the lead on doing that. Are you open to that, or would you rather do that on your own?
I think the community already has already done the consultation services, and has the engineering
You've got that all done.
all ready to go.
So all we're doing is funding the materials and the erection of the tank. That part of it too.
Well, she said the community, they were skilled and unskilled people.
Yes, all of the people in place and all of the professionals to coordinate the efforts are in place. So, and Diego, can you remind me of the start date? Was it December 1st? This date?
So it's some numbers.
Yeah,
And that
Actually,
would,
December
you're right, okay,
But money for the materials, correct,
Yes.
Jennifer? Okay,
okay.
all right. Well, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Just one other business item. Jerry, would you want to just really quickly tell folks about the flyer?
It's the first, just came off the press, the flyer for our Halloween hunt. And probably in about a week, we'll have the packages to go around for the businesses. Got another meeting on Tuesday, and we'll put all that together. So we're looking to sponsor, and here's the new flyer.
And you got a bunch of flyers if people want extra, right?
If it needs any more, I've got a flyer full of-
Put them up in places, get them
Yeah.
online.
Right. All right, thank you, Jerry. All right, would Rotarians please stand for the four-way test? As we leave this meeting and go back out into the world of life and work, of the things that we think, say, and do, let us remember to ask ourselves first, is the truth? Second, is fair to all concerned. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Everybody have a great day.
All right, if we could get some photos with our guests this morning.
Yeah.